Traco Windows, I appreciate everybody's time today. My name is Bruce Breck. I work directly for Traco Windows and Doors. With me today, I've got Chris King and Brian Warner from Whether or Not. They're installers. They're one of our dealers, so I have them here today to answer some of the questions on installation. The points that needed to go over was which of the doors we'd recommend for this building. We're recommending our TR 8300 sliding door. We have samples coming. Unfortunately, they weren't ready in time, but we have 2 samples actually coming here. These units are currently there are some of these units installed in these buildings currently now. And I'll mention some other projects down the road, but to let you know that they can be seen here. We can probably give you unit numbers to see them at. Why would we recommend our product? It's our heaviest duty door that we use. For certain conditions such as this, adverse areas, being on the water, and high use, it's our heaviest unit and it meets your specification as close as possible. It does have an oversized pull handles, which makes it easy to open. It also has a raised track, which keeps it clean. Because that's one thing on sliding doors, when you have a recessed track, a lot of times you get a lot of debris in there. And that will make it harder to actually operate the door after a period of time. The screen glides, we have 2 pairs of adjustable rollers on those, and that goes the same as the door itself, and it's all stainless steel, because that's needed down in this area, of course. We're also recommending a 12-pound sill. What that is how much water you can actually take on that door and how much water it can shed. The standard would just not make it. I believe in the specification calls for a 15-pound. We've used 12-pound here before. It's performed well. We will, when we do our pricing, it will be a 15-pound sill, but we're going to give you a deduct for a 12-pound because that will shed water. It has shed water. It's proven out in the field, and we feel that's enough. And that's at a height of 2.5 inches. And that's from finished floor. Because when you go into higher performance, what happens is that sill gets taller. And I understand that might be a concern for some people. So we're trying to take the middle road here, and we know it performs. We're not giving up on anything because it's performed here before. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I just want you to be apparent that that's something you need to consider. How well do we recommend, how do we satisfy the requirements? On the door, we don't have a problem with meeting the glazing specification. The design pressure 70, the DP 70, we're at a design pressure of 50. And most of the manufacturers are going to be probably there also, I'd imagine. We can get up higher with some reinforcement in the meeting style, but that will be something that will be put in the quote as an option. And maybe we might hit a 65, not a DP 70. Most of these tests, really, design pressure and performance grade are 2 different things. They're very close to being the same. It's how we rate our window systems. I mean, our patio doors on the burst test, wind burst test, I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're talking 160 to 170 miles an hour. So, I mean, there's comparisons that have to be made so you know exactly what you're getting. And this is, like I said, again, in your building here, also in other buildings in this area, which I'll mention a little bit later. The question about how it would reduce energy costs for owners. Well, basically, you know, the door has a thermal break in it, which means that it's separating the aluminum, because it's an all-aluminum product. It's separating the aluminum from the exterior to the interior, so it's not transferring that heat and cold. So that's one that would be for the older units that probably didn't have a thermal break in them before. The other thing is the warm edge technology on the glass. As you know, you have insulated glass, it's 2 panes of glass. There's a spacer between it. Years ago, they used to use all metal. We still do use metal in certain situations. There's also another TPS product that we use. But both these products, what we're using now, has less conductivity of heat and cold from the inside to the outside. So you're going to gain thermal performance in those older units that you have in there now. So that's another thing, another way you're going to save on, I guess you could say, energy. Plus the glass is more efficient these days. And just to let you know, we do all our own glass. We do buy our glass in single sheets. We insulate all our own glass. Our company is vertically integrated. We're on valid COA, so all the aluminum, all the products, they all come from one source, which means the glass and the units themselves are all warranted by Traco. So high item over. Big question, screen door, where is it located? It's on the outside. Our unit has it located on the outside. Traco does not have an interior screen door. Advantage you can look at that is when that screen is closed, it's actually protecting the operating door. I'd rather replace a $100 screen than have to replace any of the operating rollers and other parts of the operating panel itself. So it's a little bit of more of a protection that way. And I understand there's a lot of interior screens in the building, and most of them are. We had looked at that 2 years ago, and there was a product out there, but we've decided not to even bring that up here today. During the removal of the existing windows and doors, would the equipment and materials be brought in through the unit or from the balconies? I believe whether or not it would be all done from the balconies, correct?
It's based on how many units?
It's based on how many units. If we're to do one unit, it's going to be brought in right through your front door and into the back there. If it's going to be staged as so many units at a time, they'll be able to set up the rigging and they'll be able to do it from the exterior, so nobody's going to be walking through. In any case, there is going to be temporary barriers put up on the inside, of course, to protect. I don't know how far you said you needed in on that, but that would be discussed at time of installation. So it could be inside, it could be outside, it depends on the number of units that are going to be done. It says, how would you protect the units from construction and weather damage during the project? Again, there's a temporary barrier that's going to be built on the inside. So that's going to protect everything from the inside. It's standard operating procedure. I don't really think that we need to go into detail on that. The balconies are all pitched to facilitate a water runoff. How would the installation of the product handle this pitch? That would be fine. I mean, we're shedding water at a rate when it's coming in on our unit through the sill. There's actually a weep system that comes out, so it allows the water to go out. So being pitched, I mean, that's good. I don't know what else to address in that, except for the pitch is just going to help get the water away from the unit itself, so it's not laying up against it. So you actually have your own best friend there by having a pitched sill. Warranties, here you go, the big one. Installation, I'd have to defer to these gentlemen here. What is your standard installation warranty?
3 years?
Okay, 3 years. On the windows and, on sliding doors, it's going to be a 10-year, 10-year warranty on the units. The glass is going to be 10 years also, and depending on which glazing we go with, that might be negotiable also. We may go up to 15 years on that. On the metal finish, based on the specifications, that's 20 years. And that's a biggie. Now, we had mentioned once before about the finish. What do you consider a failure? I consider a failure when it starts pitting, it starts flaking off and whatnot like that. But any units down the road are going to fade. The idea is they're all going to fade at the same rate. So each elevation or each side of the building, when it does fade, it will fade at the same rate. So you'll get that with that type of paint finish, which we're talking about an XL finish. On the screen, we're looking at a 3-year warranty. It's 3 years on the screens. What maintenance is required? That was a big question that came up. I went back and I asked some additional questions. We're going to ask, being that it's on the shore, we're directly on the water, that the exterior be washed down. I'm talking the actual door unit itself, washed down once per quarter. No high pressure hose or anything like that. We're asking you to wipe it down, and that is by, there's an AMA 609 and 610 coastal requirement for paint manufacturers. So that should be referenced also, because that's right in their literature, and that's an industry standard. So and it only is gonna benefit you if you keep that salt spray. You can't clean it every day, but once a quarter is all that's required to enable that finish to uphold and last that 20 years. Projects that we've had in the area, we have Sea Colony here. There's units here that I'm sure we can get unit numbers that we've done projects here in the last couple of years. Sea Watch was done with our doors. There was 880 of those when that project was done. And Star of the Sea, that was 90 units that was done there. Is there anything else you gentlemen need to add?
You did a fine job.
I summed it up? Okay, I'm gonna have my cards here also, yeah, go ahead.
I, and I'm sure a heck of a lot of other people, we have these beautiful sliding screens inside our,
Yes,
they cost over $3,000. So what happens, what has to happen with that?
what do you mean?
I mean, do we have to take them down for you guys to do your work?
You're talking about the drapes and treatments?
Oh, the treatments you're talking about?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sliding screen drapes and stuff?
Yeah. Carol, you want to say that? Or? I mean, as we're playing it now, we're looking to find contractors, a contractor, that would take that down for you, do stuff inside. We would provide a name, and you work with them. We recently heard of somebody in Ocean City who will actually move the furniture, do all the things that might be involved in this. But really, it's just the curtains, moving the furniture away, 4 feet, 6 feet.
4 feet.
4 feet. So we
But
would work
something
with
that's
you on that.
specialized with that, I'm sure you'd want to oversee
Yeah.
whoever did it.
We talked with Bob Allen at Sea Watch, and they hired, I believe, someone by the name of Billy Stump, who was a contractor who contracted with each individual owner, and I think the price was about $150 to $200 to take the window treatments and put them back. And they would, and Bob Allen, the contractor, the project manager, was very happy there weren't any problems.
I mean, the only other thing you might want to mention is the carpets, as we talked about the carpets. For people, I have carpet in mine still, so.
Yeah, for our installation, we'll pull your carpet back and do the work. When we're finished, we'll roll it back in. If the tack strip is deteriorated, we'll replace it and re-kick it in.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask about the concrete work, particularly around the base, and how your slider assembly fits over that concrete, or do you require a flat, level ledge for it to go on, and then you just seal it in caulk?
Pretty much so. If there's any, this is something we had also discussed. I don't do the actual installation, we're the manufacturer, but I know that when it comes to any of the concrete work, if any repairs have to be made, it would have to be made at the time after removal. That's when it would be determined.
I understand that, but my point is your assembly built to fit over a concrete ledge, or is it fit to go on a flat surface?
It'd be a flat surface.
Okay.
Is that how you've done the Traco doors down in Sea Watch?
I mean, you have to shim a door.
Yeah.
There's irregularities in the concrete. That's taken care of through shimming.
Because has to be level when it's put in, regardless of what the surrounding area is.
So whether or not it's done a lot of work here in these buildings, is it your expectation that there is going to be a need for substantial concrete work, or what's your expectation in that regard?
Not substantial.
But there will be
There
some?
will be, yes.
And that's based on what you've seen in other units, or?
Down at Sea Watch, no, it wasn't Sea Watch, Carousel.
Carousel.
We talked to the community manager at Carousel, and they had in their budget 100 square feet of concrete work to be done along with installing the sliding glass doors. That was not a Traco installation. And they wound up using 130 square feet. And there, how many units they?
It was over 400.
Yeah, somewhere in the 400 to 500 units, so somewhat comparable to us, not entirely.
The original specification talked about a membrane that goes on beneath the concrete and the slider or something. Is that part of the installation? Is there some membrane, a ceiling membrane that goes between the doors and the concrete?
That would be a design issue. You would have to request that.
Okay, that's not part of the standard,
No.
you would not recommend that as part of the standard install?
It could be.
Usually on the installation, it's gonna go by specification, just like the way we're gonna build our door. With the insulating value or whatever, it's gonna be by specification.
Well,
So if
have
it's
you not
called
seen,
for-
have you not seen our specifications?
Oh, yeah, no, I have. From the installation standpoint, I have not. I'm really was focused on the unit itself.
When is this work projected to be started? I mean, some of us, we just replaced 3 of the sliding
Yeah.
panes. Are we going to start this year?
I
No,
believe-
we wouldn't expect that it would be able to start until September at the earliest.
Of this year?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, I think of the seasonal year.
So when you say you replace the glass or the whole
Glass.
unit?
Glass.
Oh, the glass. Right, I think everyone's replaced the glass to some extent.
We just did.
Any
Yes,
other
sir.
Your
questions?
20-year warranty on the metal, that includes shrinkage of thermal break.
That would be, yeah, that absolutely is. And that
Because
would be
that's
any-
been a
and
known
that would-
problem in the past.
And that would be degradation of it also.
When you install, you said you roll the carpet back and retack it. What if it's not carpet? What if it's ceramic and what are you doing there?
If need be, we'll cut it. We can go on top of it sometimes. It depends.
Every unit's different.
Yeah, it's individual.
Yes, sir.
Is it anodized finish or powder coated or?
It's a painted finish. It's a Door-and-Art painted finish by PPG. The specification is asking for a 3-coat. It's a XL finish, which is for down here. We're actually, again, price-wise, I'm giving options as a 2-coat. I've contacted PPG and they were comfortable with that. And we're also gonna give the 3-coat as the base with a deduct for a 2-coat. Because every time it goes through, of course, there's more.
So actually, I think the PPG spec talks, well, it talks about 2 and 3, it also talks about different percent of the resin, and the 20-year warranty is a 70% resin level, is that what you're using?
That is correct. That's a 2605 finish, it's known as. That's a Kynar finish. Yes, sir.
Could I talk about the weep holes for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Chris and Brian know about the winds here better than anyone. But when you've got wind against the glass, forcing the water into those weep holes, there's only one place for it to go, and that's in the unit. I don't care how tall that sill is,
Right.
you're gonna get water in the unit. But you're talking about if it's in burst, that water drains out.
Right.
Our experience is during a storm, and particularly a nor'easter, that you don't get the burst. You get a solid pressure.
Steady.
Forcing the water in. And you say the 2.5-inch sill is big enough to take care of that?
From our experience and what we've used here and in other buildings down here, we've never gone beyond that, had to go beyond the 12-pound sill. The spec is for 15
You call it a
pounds.
12-pound. It is.
That's
there
how much
difference in
water-
height between the 12 and 15?
Yeah, it's 2.5, and then you go up to approximately 3.5 inches.
3.5?
Almost 3.5. Might be 3.25, I'd have to check. But our base is gonna be, our base price is gonna be on the 15-pound sill.
Okay, I think we're about out of time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. For those of you who didn't catch it, this is Chris King and this is Brian Warner, and they are Whether or Not. Whether or Not is the one who's just finished the tower on Chesapeake, on the parking lot side, and are now working on 9 and 10, the tiers on the ocean side.
Thank you so much. If anybody has additional questions,